Welcome to Lavinia World. Annie Collins here. Today we'll be creating this lovely tunnel card. So let's go over the items we'll be using to create our card today. I'm going to go over the stamps first, so I'll move everything out of our way. We're going to use the Fox Set 2, which is LAV 636, Eden, which is LAV 422, our Fairy Buttercups, which is LAV 375, and the Fir Tree, which is LAV 022. I also brought in some dies, which is, this one is from Poppy Stamps. It's called Friends Folky in Script, and a Memory Box Mini Hello. And I also used a L'Enfant scallop frame. I'll show you in a bit. So our inks are Versifying Clair in Nocturne and Distress Oxide and Wilted Violet. We're going to have our stencil and a blender brush, a little Wink Estella and a glitter violet. And now for our cardstock. I have these two panels cut out, and I'll give you the measurements in a moment, but one of them I cut out an opening. That'll be the opening to our tunnel. So the two panels will be cut by 4 1/4 by 7 1/2. You need two of those. Again, 4 1/4 by 7 1/2. You'll need another panel which measures an A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And you'll need another little strip about 1 inch. That's what we're going to use to put our fairy on. Some washi tape to coordinate. And here is our little fox stamped and trimmed out. I just kind of curled his little tail a bit there. And our fairy, the same thing, I curled her wings a bit. And that's where I used the Wink of Stella glitter violet brush. And here are our sentiments, all cut out of glitter cardstock, and this is out of a glitter purple. Alright, I'm going to take everything off my desk so we can get everything started. So we're going to have our stencil here as a cloud stencil along with our Distress Oxide and Wilted Violet and a blender brush. I'm starting off with a darker color cardstock. This is like a medium blue because I'm creating a evening sky. So I want it to be darker, but not so dark that when you look into the tunnel you can't see what's happening. And I'm just blending the clouds on. Now this is a cloud stencil from my stash. I'll link one that you can purchase from the store below. So I just went ahead and apply the clouds all the way down. And now I'm using that little strip that I'm going to use to hold my fairy as a guide as to where to place my tree and my buttercups. I'm going to place those in my stamping platform, remove this strip out of the way. Like I said, I only used it as a guide. I ink up my stamp with the Versifying Clair in Nocturne and give it a nice stamp. I'm going to clean off the buttercups and I'm going to place them on an acrylic block. I know what that is. An acrylic block, and I'm going to stamp off a little bit and do a little second generation stamping here. And then first generation. And the reason why I'm doing this is that it creates depth to our background. So it looks like it's a fuller, deeper looking background. So do that across the panel, and then I'm going to pull in some Imagine Crafts Sheer Shimmer Craft Spray and Frost. That's to give us some little twinkly stars of the evening. So I pull out the nozzle after I give it a nice good shake, and I flick on some of the spray. I got a little too much there, so I used a dry napkin to pick it up. And any of the extra spray that fell onto my box, I use a little paintbrush, a little thin watercolor paintbrush, and flick on some more so I have smaller droplets. So there's the uneven bottom, but that gets hidden again, like I said, by our strip. Now for our two panels. Here I have mine in black. You can use any color cardstock you would like. On the long side, on the 7 1/2 side, we're going to take from the left and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and then 1 inch. Then we're going to flip it or turn our panel, not flip it over, just turn it to the other side, to the right. Put that into the corner, and we're going to do it again at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. That's going to create our sides for our card. So to create them, you just fold towards yourself, and then away from yourself. Sort of like when you did those paper fans when we were kids, like that. So again, fold towards yourself, and then away from yourself. And I used the bone folder to reinforce those folds. So now you have that little Z shaped there in the end. And you do that to both of these panels. And they will adhere like this to create our tunnel card. So now I'm going to go ahead and reinforce my scores here because I've been playing with it a little bit, so it's not quite as creased. And we're going to adhere our background panel first. So this is exactly 4¼ by 5½ because that's the end size of our card. So this will fit in its standard envelope. So now we're going to go ahead and put some art glitter glue on the back and adhere our panel to the background on the inside of your card. And now we're going to get our fun little strip here. And like I said, I cut this with a stitched hill die, but you of course can just use your scissors or cut it straight. All it is really is just to hold your little fairy or any critters you're placing in there at different intervals of your card. So you're going to adhere that to the little side areas on each side. Adhere one side, then push your card down, and then adhere the other side. Trim off any excess if needed. Now we're going to work on our fairy, bring in our fairy and our fox. I left a little tab on the bottom of our fairy because I didn't know how high I wanted to put her. And also to show you how I just trimmed everything off. So to do it, I just stamp her and then I just fussy cut all along the edge here. And to avoid the little white area, I just grab my Memento Tuxedo black marker and I run it across the edge. Now it doesn't bother me that there's those white outlines to show you the difference of her, like her legs, her arms and such, but if it does bother you, you can color those in. So she's going to be just there, just standing forward, so that creates that dimension between her and the background. Now you want to put some adhesive from either her bottom to her tips of her toes or just from her knees to her toes. I needed to place it from my knees to the toes, but I went from her bottom to her toes. So I'll take that off here in a moment. I was explaining it and forgot to just got into the moment, and I realized, oh wait, if I push that down when I go to mail it, my fairy will adhere to the background. See that part there? If that bothers you, just color it in. It doesn't bother me. It just shows you the difference between the two legs. So I'm going to do the same thing with my little fox, trim off the little extra that he has on the bottom of his foot here. And I'm going to adhere him to the inside of the frame. So he'll be one layer ahead of the fairy. So now you're creating 3 layers, creating that tunnel effect. You can put more layers inside your card by creating more of those little bridges that are inside there and just gluing them at different intervals on your card. Just like if you do a pop-up box card. It's a similar thing, similar style. So now to adhere the front panel and the back panel together, you're just going to put a little adhesive only on those little tabs on the side. You're going to line them up and press them into place, wiping off any excess glue. And you don't have to use liquid glue. You can use Fix Dry, a run tape runner. I like with liquid glue because it gives me a little wiggle room. And then to mail it, all you do is you push in your sides and it'll fit into your envelope. Again, you just push in on both sides like that, flatten it out, stick it in your envelope, and you're good to go. All right, but to display it, you just stand it straight up and you can see into it, and it creates that lovely scene. So to finish our card, we're going to go ahead and adhere our sentiment. We have this little hello here. I'm just going to put a little drops of glue, and I'm going to put it on all of the hello because it goes completely onto the top panel. Now the friend, I go ahead and do the same thing. I put glue all across, but I realized my upper curl of my D and the lower curl of my F don't really need it because they hang over. but that's okay. I was going a little glue crazy today, I guess, and I was gluing everything. Just wanted to make sure it stayed on there. Okay. So then I just wipe off any extra. And then I'm going to put the little dot of my eye. And then you're done. You can then add a panel towards the back of your card. You can cut one and adhere to the back for your, written message, your to and from and such. But this is beautiful to display on your desk or on a mantle once the recipient has it. So here's our layers. So you see how you create all these layers, this dimension. She's here floating. Her wings are just up there. And then here's her little fox friend she's greeting. And then we have lots of detail here with the metallic washi, the glitter sentiment. So I figured that's enough. And then you have that little twinkle in the background from the frost. All right, so we use Distress Oxide and Wilted Violet, VersaFine Claire and Nocturne. The Fir Tree, the Buttercup, the Fairy Buttercups, the Fox Set 2, and Eden, our little fairy here. Some sentiment dies, and of course our little Wink Stella on her wings to give her a little shimmer. Like always, I'll have everything linked in the description box below. Thank you for being here. I hope you found some inspiration. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for continuous inspiration from the design team.